Hey guys, welcome to this very special edition of TFL Talking Trucks, and we've got the whole team together today.
That's right, guys. You're lucky enough to have three handsome devils staring at you at cameras and tickling your eardrums.
And why is that, Andre? Why do we got all three of us together?
Well, because we wanted to bring the whole panel for you guys, because we're talking about the best performance pickup trucks of the year, basically, 2024 and beyond. And we've had experiences with basically every truck we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, when we mean performance trucks, we mean things like, of course, the Raptor, the new RHO, the Trailhunter, even the Cybertruck.
TRD Pros.
Yeah.
Power wagon.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
And in typical TFL fashion, we'll start with the small trucks, and then we'll work our way up to the big trucks, and then eventually the electric trucks. But we're not going to be talking about the run-of-the-mill F-150s. We're talking about the ones that, you know, get the blood boiling. Does your blood boil, Nathan, when you think of a Raptor?
It does when I think about the pricing, which I know a lot of you agree with me on. But yeah, actually, the Raptor R really does it for me. But let's start off at the very bottom. Hey, before then, is there anybody from Patreon that we have to thank? Or
Yeah, we always thank you guys for supporting us at patreon.com/TFLcar, which is our only Patreon page. Mm-hmm. And Chris and Loveland supported us a day ago.
Thank you, Chris.
Jonathan Wyatt, Mark D. Roller. So thank you guys very much for supporting us.
all right, now let's get to it, shall we?
Yeah,
There's a lot to cover. I mean,
Yeah, there's a
lot of trucks.
And we should talk about the fact, you know, how are we defining performance trucks?
I think it's something above the norm. So if you have a characteristic of a vehicle that says, okay, you have X amount of horsepower, anything that produces more horsepower or more torque or more performance perhaps on or off-road, that is your now performance truck. Make sense?
Suspension has to
That's
do
what I'm talking about, yeah.
a lot with it. because-
Exactly.
So basically three things, right? Styling, suspension, powertrain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't have all three, we could talk about it, right?
I think even
Yeah.
two would qualify in some
Yeah.
cases.
Stickers?
Well, in some
Sticker
some cases, stickers are what it's apparently about, or fake hood scoops too. So yeah.
And all the like jewelry, right? Like the off-road lights, the winches, all the stuff that people
Snorkels, cold
snorkels.
air intake.
Raised ones.
Desert air intake, I
Yes.
think.
Put on. And the cool thing is we've actually driven, I would think, all of these trucks.
Nearly.
So I think we have hands-on experience with all of them. Pretty much all of them.
Except the RHO. I mean, RHO was just unveiled last week, just a few days ago.
And we'll explain what the RHO
yeah,
is once we get to it.
we'll
How about
explain
that?
that,
Okay.
yeah.
So let's start with the small ones, little bit trucks.
Little
And
compact ones.
currently there's two, but we are hearing lots of rumblings about other ones coming in the near future. And those two are, of course, the Hyundai Santa Cruz and the extraordinarily popular Ford Maverick.
Specifically the Tremor.
Yeah, so
Right.
the higher trim,
Yes.
more capable version of that would be the Tremor, which is only available with, of course, the turbocharged four-cylinder engine, and B, does have a rear locker, I believe.
And also slightly raised ride height.
And beefier tires.
Yeah. Remember, Roman, we were at the dealership, a local Ford dealer recently, and we saw actually a couple on the lot. So they're actually they're in the world, right? People can buy them. But do you think they did enough with the Maverick Tremor?
So the issue I have with the Tremor, and I love the Maverick, by the way, so don't get me wrong, the Maverick, I think, is just an out-of-the-ballpark smash hit for Ford.
Yeah.
But the Tremor has gotten so expensive, right? The Maverick started out at $19,000, which was incredible.
That was a hybrid, yeah.
And then, now it's up to about $23,000. But the Tremor we were looking at, I believe it was $41,000,
Yeah,
Andre?
40-something, yes.
Yeah, that's a big number for a little tiny truck.
Well, especially considering how close it comes to the Ranger. You know what I mean, in terms of pricing and everything else.
And capability in some ways.
Yeah, so you're suddenly in a totally different ballpark. I agree. However, off-road for what is essentially a car-based
Yeah, it's based on the Escape.
Hey, podcast listeners and TFL Talk viewers. I wanted to take a minute to talk to you about a quick and simple way to sell your car or truck with the help of our new partner, HighRoad. With HighRoad's online portal, you enter your vehicle's VIN number or plate, mileage, and zip code, and you'll get competing offers from several qualified dealers in your area within seconds. You pick the best deal offered and follow through with the dealer to sell your vehicle. No more managing scammy emails from buyers on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. No more time wasted on no-show buyers. No bait and switch with a "will you take a check" excuse from sketchy buyers. Now keep in mind, These offers will be for trade-in values of your vehicle. If you want to go through the hassle of getting more for your vehicle, that's up to you. But if you want to sell your vehicle hassle-free and fast, go to tfltruck.com and click Sell Your Truck in the navigation menu. Or click on the High Road ad at the bottom of the website if you're on mobile, or click on the column if you're on a desktop. High Road makes it easy, and we like easy. Yeah, it is very capable. You've proven that off-road that it can do it. Granted, it struggles a little bit. And it's far more capable off-road than, say, the Santa Cruz. Now, the Santa Cruz recently has...
Which you own? You should, full disclosure.
Full disclosure, I own just a step above a base model one, so I don't have the turbo, hence it wouldn't qualify to be on this list. However, you recently saw the new one, but mechanically it's all the same.
Yeah, what did you see in New York, Andre? What do they
so
have?
the new 2025 models were just unveiled and showed in New York at the New York Auto Show. And they redesigned the front end a bit, so they made it a little bit more upright.
Tow hooks.
And XRT, they've had this XRT trim for a while.
Yeah, and it's very, very...
It's almost sticker-based.
Yeah, it's basically, think of it as garnish, right? I think garnish would be good. You add a little, but essentially it doesn't change the performance of the vehicle.
Pepper?
Seriously.
Salsa.
But now the XRT package that's coming
a little bit more beefy.
Is a little bit more beefy. It's got beefier tires. And it's got
tow hooks that poke through the bumper.
It really does try to make it look more
trucky. It looks like Superman is jumping out of it.
But the truck itself is no more performance oriented than it was before.
So the issue we had with them going off road was when we took it up. I believe it was Tombstone. The transmission overheated.
Yeah, that was the dual clutch, but the regular automatic transmission.
The one you have.
Yes, it performs better. However, the loss is it doesn't have the turbo, so it still struggles because it absolutely runs out of gas as it tries to go high altitude off-roading.
Now, a little, insider information. Our friends Jill and Kristen took it on the Rebel Rally.
Yeah.
I called them and I said, hey guys, when we had this thing with the dual clutch, it overheated. So let's just talk about that. In our experience, kind of the worst transmission to go off-roading in is a dual clutch.
I would agree 100%.
Right? It's built for and
a CVT.
And I think the dual clutch is just a little bit below the CVT in my opinion.
It depends on who builds it.
But they were designed for track work, so they were designed to be very quick
high performance street driving.
Right.
Yes.
It's like one gear is ready to go, and you don't need that when you're crawling around in dirt. What you need is something that stays in one gear and doesn't try to upshift to a second gear. And so the engineer apparently told those gals that the way you work that transmission is you put it in manual mode and you basically lock it into first.
Or second
or whatever, but you don't actually have it try to figure out what gear it should go into.
Well, we should probably try that in the future.
So anyway, that was just a little tip I got. But what's also interesting is that out of all these small trucks, and there's a bunch coming, right? The Stout is supposedly making a comeback.
We're pretty damn sure it's coming.
Which is a Toyota, and that might be an all-electric truck.
We know Nissan's working with Mitsubishi to build one too, a PHEV possibly.
And then the Hyundai and Kia group are also looking at bringing in a traditional body-on-frame mid-sized truck. Which we'll get to in a second.
Maybe not to the United States, but maybe
it's definitely going to the rest of the world, but not necessarily here.
But what you don't have in the current crop of compact trucks, which I think is a key to good off-road performance, is a selectable low range.
Yeah,
and that's a problem.
It's a problem, but the reason why they don't do it is because they want to maintain efficiency and simplicity, and also keep it cheap altogether. So consider this: that if you put a transfer case in one of those things, right, you're adding weight to it, you're adding complexity,
and cost.
Exactly.
Yes.
And these things were built specifically to undercut mid-sized trucks. And that is exactly their purpose. And hopefully they'll be able to maintain that. I think Ford was brilliant for bringing in a $19,000 truck. It sucks that it's now $23,000, but still it's very inexpensive.
But it's kind of a head scratcher, guys. I mean, I've always wondered why Jeep doesn't obviously build a baby Wrangler with all the capability that a Wrangler has.
Pickup.
Or a little pickup with all,
which we've...
The Gladiator is, let's face it, we'll get to it in a second.
Huge.
It's enormous. It's the longest.
Its wheelbase is as long as the full-size truck.
Why doesn't any manufacturer actually just take all the components and scale them down and actually have a true, and the Japanese kind of do it with their K-trucks, where they put little turbochargers on them, and they actually give them
and four-wheel drive,
and a low range, right?
Lockers, yeah.
And yet they do it for the domestic market, but they don't do it for the rest of the world. And I think that's a huge missed opportunity, especially now where, and I mean, the theme in this podcast is going to be price. You started off by saying,
yeah, I know. Sorry, guys, but that's the bottom line, really. I mean, look, we all want a Raptor R or a Power Wagon or whatever, but we don't want to cough up between 70 and 150 grand for a truck, in most cases. Anyway, let's continue maybe on to the mid-size trucks now.
Yeah, and
there's a lot.
I have some notes going here on my laptop, and I labeled the
Why
compact.
is my wife's picture there?
Hey, no.
Explain that. Kidding, guys. I'm kidding.
There's no... Nathan's wife is not on my laptop.
I just
well,
wanted
he just
to...
changed it very quickly.
He did. That was quick, dude.
I know. And why was she wearing a bathing suit?
And I don't understand all that, dude. What's going on?
Whoa. I just labeled compact mini trucks for performance, the Tremor we discussed on the XRT, between 40 and 45K. Because that's kind of the window sticker prices for those trucks.
Which I think is...
Which is already fairly substantial.
Well, that goes right into the midsize market again.
Yeah, so let's talk midsize because this is hot, right? There's so much going on in the midsize.
Well, you guys have been knocking it out of the park by going to a ton of Toyota stuff, and Toyota's been just absolutely all over the midsize world
should we start
right
with Toyota since we just basically got off
Let's do
the
it.
program and we just drove the two Toyotas?
I think they're the most important and they're the most loved and hated at the same time. You know what I mean? They're like so polarizing because they're so capable, but they're so expensive.
So in the last episode, obviously, we had a deep dive with the chief engineer, Sheldon. If you're watching, thank you very much.
Sheldon's the man.
He's the man, yeah. People say that you and him sound alike, by the way.
Are you sure
It's because
you're
we're both...
related?
Oh, we're definitely... I mean, we're both girthy, handsome men, and more importantly... love you, Sheldon. But more importantly, we're intelligent.
You are intelligent.
Yeah, we're the brain trust of both, Toyota worships him, and I worship myself. Anyway, so let's continue.
We worship you.
So anyway, so we got the chance to drive both the TRD Pro and the Trailhunter, and the difference in Toyota's eyes between the two is that the TRD Pro is more of the desert runner,
Right.
And
And it's got the suspension seats.
Yeah, jumping across dunes, and that's why they give it Fox suspension. And the new Trailhunter model is more of the overlander, where you go,
the crawly one,
the crawly one, yeah.
It's a brilliant way to separate humans from their paychecks because you're giving them more choice, which is always a good thing.
Choice is always great.
And I predict that they will both sell quite well despite the fact they're ridiculously priced. It's a brilliant plan because think about it, overlanding's super hot right now. And
it's cooling down a little bit.
It's still
A little.
multi-billion-dollar business.
Yeah, but there's
And
a lot
Toyota's
of...
been all over it, too.
Look how many rooftop tents they sell per year. Look how many of these teardrop trailers. Yes, it's cooled a little bit, I agree with you, but it's still a huge industry, and I think that it's going to ebb and flow like anything else.
Well, I think with COVID, people have gotten back to the office and back to being among other people. And during COVID, it just exploded because everybody wanted to get the hell away from all of us.
Well,
right?
I even bought a trailer, if you recall.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and so you're right. I mean, it's still hot, but dude, that price is eye-watering. $62,000, I believe, Andre, right? For the
Before destination for the Trailhunter.
For the Trailhunter.
But so the TRD Pro is a little bit less expensive, am I correct?
A little bit more.
Is it a little more?
Yes.
Oh man, I was told
Only 1,000.
only $1,000 more.
Yes.
That makes. Well, I guess okay. So it has the
It
special
was a surprise.
seats.
Everybody expected the Trailhunter to be more expensive.
That's what I thought
Yes.
too.
And they kind of surprised us with this.
It would be surprising if it was 55 and then 56.
Well, that'd be
not
better.
63
yeah.
and 64.
But look at it this way. I mean, look how many launch editions, like Jeep with the Gladiator or the diesel version of that. How expensive was that? Remember, it was over 60 grand.
Actually, the last EcoDiesel special edition, like the far out version of it,
Right.
was 71,000.
So, I mean, that's a mid-sized truck.
Yes.
The whole purpose of mid-sized trucks in the earlier days was so you could have something that was less expensive than a full-size truck.
So let's give them a quick recap in case you missed last week's episode about what the two are. So obviously everybody knows that the TRD Pro has been around and it's got bigger shocks, Fox shocks, piggyback, and they put on these new isodynamic seats now that are supposed to be basically.
Well, they're adjustable, yeah?
With dampers, yeah.
Yeah, they're like a hammock where they hold you in
No,
place.
I know what they and you guys know what they are. You know why? Because Mitsubishi came out with that like 30 years
truck
ago.
drivers had those kind of like squishy.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
But this is in 3 axis.
Oh, for crying
That's
out
just
loud.
one axis. This is up and down. This is side to side. So imagine it being like a hammock where it goes in all kinds of directions.
I know, I get it. The whole point is that you remain almost stationary as your truck is flying around all over the damn place.
And the downside is that they take up a lot more space. The back ends probably stick out. What would you say, Andre? At least 2 inches, right?
Yeah, because there's additional, plastic
And then you
to
got to pump
cover
them up in the back, and then there's valves and all kinds of stuff. in the
Yeah,
back.
it looks really cool. And that half of that, then they're going to sell a ton of them, pardon me, I almost said that, because they're cool.
And then also what you get on the new Trailhunter, which I found really awesome, was a snorkel. And it sounds like a walrus snoring. We did a bunch of like little shorts where you can hear the intake, you can hear exactly, Andre, you can hear the turbocharger, you can hear
Yeah.
the wastegate. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Or annoying if you're sitting in the passenger seat
Well,
with the window open.
The cool thing is that even though you lose the V6 sound, which honestly I never thought sounded that great, you get this kind of cool turbo rushing sound, and I think that's really cool. But okay, now you guys can answer a very important question. Both of those trucks that you're talking about right now are hybrids.
Yes.
How different do they feel? Is it worth it to have the hybrid powertrain?
Oof.
I don't think so. I just don't think it's worth the extra money. So we have, right behind us, 2 of the trucks we'll be discussing, right? We have the Toyota Tacoma, and obviously, as you guys have been following us, you'll know that they went from a 6-cylinder to a 4-cylinder turbo, and what they did was they put all the torque down low.
Yeah.
So at like 1,400 RPM is where you get 100%.
Like 17.
17
Yeah,
RPM.
17-ish,
Thank you,
yeah.
Andre. And what electrification does, it gives you a lot of torque down low.
Even more.
But we already have a lot of torque. I mean, you can already chirp the tires in 2-wheel drive on the Tacoma without the hybrid system. So I don't know. The problem is it's like 600 pounds heavier, and so the weight of the battery kind of offsets the additional power.
What about fuel savings?
What about fuel savings?
So I think the jury is still out for me
okay.
because we haven't had the Tacoma hybrid here in Colorado to test. We drove it to the event at a limited fashion.
Right.
EPA says and Toyota says that this hybrid powertrain in the Tacoma will be really a lot more capable in the city. So like 22 mpg versus 19, right? So you're improving your city mpg quite a lot, and the highway mpg is about the same because you're still using that gasoline engine, right, to push this truck.
Yeah, the hybrid powertrain won't help you at all
right.
on the highway. Gotcha.
But if you're driving a lot of city driving and stop and go, I think that's where the hybrid is going to shine. But we haven't tested that very clearly yet.
Yeah,
and the hybrid costs $3,700 if you were to delete it, on another trim level.
important question. Bet you guys are curious. Can you get a Trailhunter or a TRD Pro without the hybrid powertrain?
No, unfortunately.
Okay, so that is really like, why?
And the other thing, I don't mean to be like Debbie Downer here, but we are going to be comparing features on all these trucks. So you do get a rear locker, but you don't get a front locker.
Right.
And we'll talk about the competitor truck in a second, but you don't get full-time 4-wheel drive, which I have found to be...
Wait, you don't get full-time 4-wheel
You
drive?
get 4 high and you get 2 high, but you don't get automatic 4 high. So in other words, when you put it in 4 high, you will get crabbing, which is not good. When we picked up our Tacoma, we drove it from Houston up to Colorado, and we had experienced changing weather conditions, which is saying it nicely. So we went through, I think, we had horrible rainstorm, wonderful sun, and then incredible snowstorm when we got to Colorado. And then the problem is when you put it in 4 high, right, if you've got changing conditions, like it goes from being wet to being dry or being slippery, then it will start to crab.
Yeah. No, I get your point. I'm a little shocked that they don't have an auto 4-wheel drive or something.
They have one that we drove.
In the Land Cruiser.
No. They have one in the premium.
Yes, they have a limited truck. So you can buy a Tacoma Limited, which is kind of a luxury model of the Tacoma. And they do have that full-time system that's also available in the Land Cruiser or...
Can you get it in the Trailhunter?
No.
Okay. So I'm a little confused about why they did what they did, but maybe we should move on.
But no. I think
is there more?
I think these people. I think this is I want to talk about the new trucks more than the older trucks because I think this is what you guys are interested in.
Okay. So then to continue, here's
go ahead.
quick question then. So only one powertrain available for a variety of different models. Yet the most capable system setup is only available in a vehicle that is not really gauged for super off-road use. Is that what I'm being told?
What do you mean?
So the premium is not a Trailhunter. The premium is not a TRD Pro.
The premium's like the City Slicker. That would
the
be
limited.
Exactly.
The limited, yeah.
Okay, but that has the auto all-wheel drive
it does.
setup. Okay,
It would be like the Sahara if you're, comparing it to a Jeep.
Kind of luxurious.
And by the way, guys, there's no need to finish this episode today. If we get through, half of it, then we can finish it next time. And I guess you guys won't mind if this is a two-parter.
Yeah, well,
there's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about. Yeah.
I mean, I think mid-size trucks alone are going to take us.
Well, considering the fact
hour.
that how many have been either refreshed or completely redone.
Now, there's some other goodies you get. So if you get the Trailhunter, you get a built-in compressor, which is really cool.
Yes.
That is cool.
And the hoses to power it.
Is that $61,000 cool?
I don't know.
65?
The built-in compressor to me is really big because every time we bring a compressor, we get a lot of crap that we don't air down. But when we go seriously off-roading, we always air down.
Yeah, if it's serious.
Yeah, but it's always like you get in the back and it's bouncing around, and then you find out that you're missing a part to it. So it's nice to actually have it built into the vehicle. Rivian does that as well, and we'll get to them eventually.
Very cool.
But I don't think it's expensive on the part. You know what vehicle had a compressor that we owned? Here's the trivia question: what vehicle that we owned, like, oh my God, it must be 8 years ago, had a built-in compressor that you wouldn't think would have it?
I think 2 vehicles we owned. They were both GM.
Exactly, yeah. One starts with
Pontiac Aztek.
Yep, 8.
Yeah.
Remember that?
And the Hummer.
And the Hummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So GM does that. So thank
What
you,
about the new
GM.
Hummer?
And now
It
thank you,
doesn't
Toyota. What?
The new Hummer, I don't think it has a compressor.
Does it have the ability to make its tire? Well, I guess it's the military version. Never mind.
Yeah. So GMC, if you're listening, add an air compressor.
There you go, and then you
to
can charge
your
more money.
vehicle.
So let me ask you this, Andre. You've driven both of them. If it were your money and you were going to go for Toyota and you wanted the performance version, would you get the Trailhunter or would you get the TRD Pro?
Well, for those of you who are listening, he's showing a very clear picture of the Trailhunter. And I'm
In white.
In white. I'm actually inclined to agree with you, even though I haven't driven him. But it's just knowing, first of all, Old Man Emu suspension. I've used that before. I've used that setup before. Fantastic suspension system, very forgiving, capable of doing almost everything. But most importantly, that truck has a lot more going for it in my book in terms of its overall capability year-round. That's where I would look at it.
And they added a little bit more payload. You know how I care about,
I know.
towing something or putting something in the bed. So the Trailhunter has a little bit more payload. It has all the cool features Roman just mentioned,
Plus
including
lights. They added lights to the bed.
lights in the
Yeah,
bed
yeah.
or surrounding the bed.
Mm-hmm.
You have inverter, right? The hybrids, Tacomas now have an inverter system for 2 kilowatts, so you can power, charge stuff and power a few things. And I like that it has those massive rock sliders
Yeah.
and massive skid plates. I mean, no matter what I'm going to run over, the Trailhunter I think is a cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we all wish that it was less expensive, but I think that it's more impressive, to me at least, than the TRD Pro.
You?
Well, I would buy it just because it doesn't have that fake hood scoop that the TRD Pro has, which I still hate to this day. So it doesn't have the fake hood scoop. It's got the compressor. It's got the air intake, and we saw it in that green color, that army green.
That was really cool.
That was really cool.
That was a really good looking truck.
And I'm just worried that the dealers are going to go, as dealers do, crazy.
Please don't do that.
With ADM.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's going to be out of control. So I
That's
think
Roman's truck.
Yeah.
I think ideally you're looking at a $75,000 truck there in real life. In the real world, that's what that's going to be.
Well, after dealers, yeah.
And you know what people are going to do to it? They're going to add more stuff to it.
Yeah, they're
gonna
going to give it a lift or something.
Tear
Tear all the suspension and put it like whatever.
The new man emu. The new man.
I'm telling you, this Rancho suspension's better. Is there a difference in towing between the two of them?
No, they're identical at 6,000.
Okay.
So it's less than other Tacomas, right?
Yeah,
It's
but
a
that's
bit
because
less.
of the suspension setup.
Yeah, but it's still, it's still pretty good.
It still has the Tacoma droop too, I bet, when you tow.
Probably.
Yeah, that's the one thing about all of those new Tacomas.
And they come
do the
on
same
what?
thing.
They're like
33s.
33s, yeah. So you're not. We're going to be talking about 35s in a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, we are.
But yeah, it comes like on 33s. So the tires are good. And I love the new design language. I think they did a really good job.
It's growing on me.
Yeah.
I like the way they design. I like it from the profile. That's my favorite look.
And they got rid of the 6-speed, so now you have an 8-speed.
It's very smooth now. The powertrain is very smooth.
The powertrain's great. I love the fact that you can still get a base, or actually other model Tacomas with a manual transmission.
And get this, you can get a disconnectable sway bar,
Yes.
which is pretty cool. All right, so shall we move on to
let's move on
other
to-
new truck in this category, which is also sitting in back here, which we just bought.
Pretty hot.
Pretty hot, yeah, pretty hot. Now, this is a truck that's been in Australia and Europe for a while, and we just finally got it.
However, they had a diesel version, which we don't get, which
It's okay because we get a much more powerful twin turbo.
Yes, that's true, but at the same time, many of you might agree with me that if you want to really venture off-road, having a diesel is still, I think, ideal. But
I kind of think like electric's the new diesel, but we won't open up that can of worms.
God.
You just said it.
I just said it. Well, torque, my man.
Torque, yes. Lots of torque.
Lots of torque.
How much torque do you really need at the end of the day? 800,000 pounds of torque to go up whatever, but sorry, off-road I only have 50 miles of range.
You want to pull like a D9 bulldozer. I mean, that's the newest
for 8
YouTube
feet,
thing. Yeah.
it'll do great.
So there it is. We're talking about, of course, the Ranger Raptor, which now is available here in America. Very limited supply. Each dealer's getting only a couple. So same problem that Toyota's going to have with ADM issues. So, but the base price starts much lower. So I think all in, ours was like $58,000.
Yeah.
Which is still
All in.
Which now seems like a bargain.
And I want to point out a couple things to I think it's fair to say. The suspension systems that we're talking about in these trucks, other than the little tiny ones, are extraordinarily expensive. So if you were to build your own truck, let's say...
That's a really good point, Nathan.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So your build-up, and just having somebody install it in there and actually putting the wheels and tires on, or beefing up the brakes, or adding new A-arms, all the things that they have to do in order to make these trucks more capable is extraordinarily expensive. So yes, I agree, the prices are ridiculous. However, keep that in mind. Building up a truck at this level means that there's serious investment.
And you're not going to have a factory warranty. You're going to have You're going to have Joe's 4x4 shop warranty.
Yeah,
which may or may not be.
We don't know about Joe. It might be all right.
What's wrong with Joe?
Joe's good.
Okay, so let's talk about what we've got going on with the Ranger Raptor. We've been waiting for this forever. It's been testing here in Colorado for 5 years that we've been seeing prototypes running around in test mules.
Yeah. Seems like it.
Yeah. Sometimes they're right-hand drive.
So let me start with, should I start with the good stuff or the bad stuff? So we've put I think 1,000 miles on it, and I've done most of that, and I can give you my top 5 things I like and top 5 things I don't like now that I've been behind the wheel. So let's start with I'll start with the stuff I don't like.
Okay.
The styling. I think the styling is way too tame. A Raptor's got to be like fire breathing.
I agree with you.
And this thing is just got that C clamp, but it just doesn't look aggressive enough.
I think it's a good looking truck. I just don't think it's a aggressive looking truck. I agree with you.
Yeah, and we bought ours in that kind of chili pepper red, so it does kind of pop.
Yeah,
but it's not aggressive enough. I think it needs more.
I agree, and especially overseas, there's also the Everest SUV that has the same front end. So if you look at it straight up in the front, it kind of looks almost SUV-ish,
It's normally we bitch and complain about garnish and adding too much with stripes and spoilers and wings or whatever. This thing almost needs it, or maybe different color wheels, a shark fin on the roof, a Gatling gun, something to liven it up.
It feels like they designed it for more the European or the Australian market, which is, I think, tamer than we're used to, right? Because
he said that. Don't anger Aussies. Are you crazy?
No. But here's the deal, right? I love Australia, I love the Europe, but we in America seem to have no rules when it comes to lifting trucks and when it comes to putting stuff on the front of. They have very strict rules, right? So like the stuff that is customized here looks like something out of Mad Max.
Exactly. Yeah, we do have some stuff that's freaky.
We have some bro stuff here.
We have some bro truck. And so when you hold this up to one of those trucks, it just looks like another. I've been driving it. I've been trying to wave to new Ranger people. Nobody even notices it.
Yeah, it just looks like another new Ranger. I agree with you. However, what's under the skin, if you know, right? And so when you're driving past the right person, and they're looking at their truck, they're like, dude, that thing is a monster.
They'll give you a nod.
Because that is a little beast. Is it not?
I have
little
not
beast.
gotten a nod. I have not gotten a wink. I have not
No?
gotten like how
I
do you
think
do?
you're looking too hard.
I've gotten-
And maybe that's a little too much.
this.
You know, you're expecting a Jeep Wave. You're not going to get it in a Ford.
Okay, number 4.
Yes.
Exhaust note is just, oh God, they just can't get a 6-cylinder to sound something that doesn't sound flatulent.
They need to
but-
call the
but-
Italians.
Okay, what's the engine? What's the
I
powertrain, Andre?
disagree slightly on the exhaust. It's a 3-liter twin turbo. It's the high output EcoBoost.
It's only
400.
used on a couple of vehicles right now.
It was introduced in the Explorer ST.
Right.
In a different tune, slightly different tune. It also in the Bronco Raptor,
Right.
that engine exists. And also now in the Ranger Raptor. And so 405 horsepower, and which is a lot.
It is a lot.
And 430 pound-feet of torque, which is also a lot.
Considering the fact that that thing weighs a lot less than a
But
half-ton
less
truck.
torque than the Tacoma.
Exactly. So,
Yeah,
so the
that's-
hybrid Tacomas are 465 torques. So this Ranger Raptor also is a bit heavier than a standard Ranger.
Right.
I
That's
think,
partially the suspension and wheels.
yeah, and the armor and and everything that has to do with that as well.
What
All
about
all the luxury inside as well.
And that's what I wanted to get to. What did you think of the interior? Because that's something I have experience
Well, wait,
with.
can we talk about the exhaust for just a
Oh,
second?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Go
It
ahead.
just sounds, no matter what mode you put in, it just sounds farty. It just sounds like it's farty.
But I think it's the best 40 of the Ford EcoBoosts.
it sounds, at least it sounds louder than the Tacos, but it doesn't sound good.
It sounds so.
And keep in mind, boys, we also have a Mustang GT.
Oh, come on.
Well, you
with
can't
the-
compare
I
that.
mean, it's not fair.
That is the gold standard. Come on, that has got to be that's like
You're-
thunder and lightning all at once when you start it up.
yeah, but you're comparing bananas to grapes. Completely different. In
I'm
this
not going to excuse them. I'm like, come on, Ford, you can do better. They worked really hard on the sound of the Raptor, right, which is also a V6.
Yeah, it sounds
The
okay.
F-150, you mean?
Yeah, we'll
sounds
get to
okay.
that. And they do that cross pipe. Here they just kind of said,
I don't think they have the space for it.
We'll just fake it and we'll change it on the interior, and that's good. That's good enough. And for me, it's disappointing.
I wanted to ask you guys about the interior because that is something, because I haven't driven it, but I have had a chance to.
So for me, the interior is nice. I mean, it's got a lot of color. The problem I have, I've been watching a lot of Seinfeld on Netflix, and I've been watching a lot of Kramer, and there's something about that seat that just pokes me in the wrong part of my back. So every time I get in, I'm like Kramer. I'm like, ugh. You know what I mean? I do that almost overacting thing, and the way I've gotten around it is I've cantilevered the seat to almost the position that Andre drives in.
Oh, well, Andre drives.
Lay
as if-
back.
Yeah, like he's in a doctor's
Because
office.
it just keeps hitting me right in the center of my back. I don't know what the hell they did.
Yeah, so certain seats hit different
You
people.
don't like the
different ways.
interior?
No.
No? Okay, fair.
There's two things I'm not hip on. There are a couple places where it's a very expensive truck, and there are a couple places where they skimped on some component quality. Door panels are part of it, and I cannot stand the placement of the screen or the switchgear beneath it. Now, we did a recent thing on its baby brother. Well, not baby brother, but its lesser brother, I guess you would say. And I got a chance to sit in all of the midsize trucks and talk about the inside tech and gear and whatnot. And the knob placement draws your eye way down in order to adjust heating, air conditioning, and whatnot. And also, you have to move your eyes, I believe, away from the road when you're trying to do certain things with the screen. Better placement for other trucks exists.
But I like the fact that it has real buttons for HVAC.
I
Unlike
do-
the
I do
Mustang,
appreciate
which
that part.
doesn't have them.
Right, I agree. But the placement of them is terrible, and I don't like the screen. The way they did the screen is exactly or very similar to the way that Tesla did it early days, and that means that it reflects off the glass at night. It just doesn't work for me in terms of its angle.
All right, let me keep going. That was number 3 interior
Yeah.
seat. Number 2, the shifter. They went with the traditional shifter,
Which I like.
Yeah, but for some ungodly reason, they put a button on the side and a button on the front. So in order to shift into gear, you put your hand on it and you hit the button on the side, thinking that's how you move it back and forth.
But it's not.
It's not. That's how you change manual gear. So you got to pull the thing on the front, and it's
That's
very
right.
counterintuitive. You just want to push, and so you get in it, you push the side thing, and nothing happens, and you're like, oh, I got to pull the front thing.
It's a digital shifter, basically.
It
but
is.
it's-
Yeah.
But it's on the console.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. I agree with you guys. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Also, what I noticed in this Ranger Raptor, Sometimes I want to go from drive to reverse,
Yeah.
and then push it all the way to park.
Yeah, because you go through it.
Yeah, I almost go through
It's part of this like reinventing everything
you go
on a
through
truck.
it
You know?
immediately.
It's become like every year now designers have to like make it more minimalist and make it more hard to use. It's just this trend that's just really. And the number one thing that I don't like about it is sometimes the screen just won't turn on for like 3-4 minutes. It must be a glitch because it'll start driving and the screen's just black.
And this has the most recent version of Sync, am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's still called Sync. You know, they're transitioning on some of the vehicles to other systems. So,
And of course, these are intermittent issues.
yeah, they are indeed. Okay, so let's continue. I wanted to talk
top
about
5 things I like.
yeah, let's
that's
talk about
exactly
love.
what I was going to.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
love. First and foremost, love the price. Compared to anything else, it's just a hell of a
For what
bargain.
you get,
Yeah.
the amount of power and performance, I agree 100%.
Yeah, it's just a hell of a bargain.
58,000 to start.
I mean, yes, that's ridiculous, but it's if you look at a Raptor, where do the regular Raptors
it
start?
starts at 80. So that's
You're getting
23,000.
really
you're
close
saving.
performance
Yeah.
for a lot less money. And honestly, yes, it's a smaller truck, but not that much smaller.
And then we'll also compare it to the Bison, which we'll get to that.
We'll get to
that
in a second.
In a second,
Yeah.
it's also relatively, if there's such a thing.
Tommy's coming in with
Tommy,
something.
What is Tommy? What is here?
What do you do?
thank you,
We
Tommy.
just got a delivery of tires.
Falcon Wild Peaks.
Hey, Falcon Wild Peaks.
Whoa.
The new AT4Ws. These are for our
4 Ws.
Yeah.
We're putting them on the Fiat right over here.
Yeah, not the Fiat. We're putting them on the Jeep, right?
Putting on the other Fiat.
Yeah.
On the other Fiat.
We're
Okay.
putting them on our new Renegade, making it much more off-roady.
Thank you,
And by the way,
Tommy.
there's a new Renegade video of the old Renegade, which the guys bought without even talking to us about it because they know that you and I would both say no. But anyway,
Yeah, it's a 2016 Jeep Renegade, and
like over 100,000
and now it
miles
has
on
brand
it.
new tires. And actually, the 4Ws, it's a brand new tire. I mean, it just came out.
So
it is a brand
Thank
new
you,
tire,
Falcon, yeah.
which are now worth, I think, more than the car itself. All right, let's continue.
All right, so number 5, what I love is the price, which is I think a bargain
Yeah.
for what you're getting. I know 57,000 seems like a lot, but when you actually compare it to what the other trucks in that category are like, I think
It
they're-
undercuts almost everything else out there.
Yeah, I also love, and this is something we talked about with the Tacomas, where it has Fox active suspension, but you don't have to get underneath the truck. You just go in the
switch
screen,
it,
you go
yeah.
bloop, 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 put it in Raptor mode, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think that they came up with a comprehensive package. You know, it's a funny thing. The regular Ranger, I like quite a bit, and wasn't sure that I was going to think that this was going to be worth the money. But after seeing the competition, I think that this is, for the performance level that it achieves, it is the bargain.
Number 3, front locker.
Yes.
Unlike
In
the
addition
Toyota,
to rear locker.
In addition to rear
There's
locker.
only one other automaker that... No, there's two. There's two
more.
others. There's two others that they'll do it. Toyota doesn't do it, neither does Nissan.
Number 2, 4A. In other words, 4 automatic. So you can just keep it in 4-wheel drive and not worry about snow, not worry about dry, just drive
Well,
it.
that's kind of the point of it, is to automatically adjust a sort of an all-wheel drive system, sort of. But at the same time, if you get serious, then you can switch into other modes and really crank at things. So.
And number 1, I just because of that suspension, I love the ride. I think it's got a really kind of cushy, soft ride.
yeah, and
You know, it's got that kind of like, wafty ride. You can get to that point.
stadium truck. you
Yeah.
know, it just squishes along, and you don't need a ridiculous seat. That
You just have a regular seat.
Except
That
this seat,
pokes you.
apparently maybe you do, because it pokes you the weird way, and you come in with
And then the bonus,
bruised back.
it feels to me like there's more room in the back. I'm not sure there is more room in the back. It just feels like there is more room in the back.
I think there's
Maybe
a
the
tiny
seats
bit
are
in the Ranger.
are just pushed back a little bit more than in the Toyota.
I mean, the Raptor seat is also bulkier,
Yeah.
so it's got big bolsters and big kind
The
of.
Raptor seat is way better than the regular seat. I can tell you that. At least for me, for my
Yeah,
chunky
but
body.
but for the rear seat in general in the Ranger, I think it's a little bit bigger than the Tacoma. Just in my
Maybe.
impression.
Well, we'll run the numbers.
Yeah,
at some
and if you
point in
guys are
time.
wondering, Tommy took it to Moab. So if you want to see how it did in Moab, we kind of
That video is still on.
Yeah, we kind of. It's funny. It has the how much is the tow, Andre?
5,500.
So
almost.
less.
Yeah, less than the Tacoma.
And it has the 7-pin, but it hangs down. And so Ford kindly put like a little skid plate for the 7-pin connector, which Tommy bent
Oh yeah, he did. Bet.
because it, on.
But I believe that the 7-pin still works fine.
Yeah, the 7-pin worked. I mean, the skid plate did its thing, which was good. How about you guys? What do you like about it now that I've gone through my list?
I would add to your list. I agree with your like list a lot. I would add the stealthy quality of it, but when you punch it at the light, people get surprised. So you know how it looks a little bit more regular, like a regular pickup trucks. But I was driving it home a couple of weeks ago, and you punch it off the traffic light, and people just kind of are surprised. It has a lot of acceleration.
Well, we did a video where we raced it against a Raptor. Am I correct?
Yeah,
Did.
full-
Raptor.
yeah,
And it
full-size Raptor.
almost kept up with it. Almost.
There
I
was
make
there was
this-
like a body length,
Maybe even less.
Maybe
yeah,
even less?
Yeah, or maybe a body length.
which
yeah.
is saying something. So I mean, it's a really fast.
So it's
little
not a
truck.
race car. I mean, if you want something to scare you, you know, the Ranger Raptor is not going to scare you by its acceleration, but it's still very, very quick.
All right. Well, let's move on to Andre's truck. This is obviously
Well, not quite my truck.
The big boy version. So Andre has a Colorado.
Can we mention the news real quick?
Yes.
Big news.
You tell them.
Announcement.
Let's
Yeah.
go for it. Okay.
My camera system is now fixed in my truck, so my
All right.
truck is fully healthy.
Fantastic.
It was a bad coaxial cable that connects the camera, the rear camera, to my head unit.
Is this a common problem?
I don't know how common it is or not.
So you've got the Trail Boss, but
Yes.
we're going to be talking about the Bison
And the ZR2s.
and the ZR2s. So who wants to start the discussion about
Well,
those?
the ZR2 is actually slates under the Bison. The Bison really is the top dog in terms of pricing.
Yes.
But in terms of powertrain and a lot of the components, they're very similar, the ZR2 and the Bison. I think we should start with that.
So here's the thing, okay? It's the only truck in its class that has 35s from the factory.
The Bison specifically.
For a mid-sized truck, that's getting up there. Like
Yeah.
33s are big, but 35s are really big.
There's a point where you start wondering when it's counterproductive to put larger tires on these things.
But remember, we started this discussion and saying there's three things it has to have, right? Usually suspension, like cool body shape or unusual body kit, and of course, more power. But you're kind of missing, like you are with the ZR2 and the Silverado, you're not getting any more horsepower. So you're getting the high output force and the turbo.
Which is still, I mean,
it's
how much
still
power?
over 300.
Yeah, I mean,
310.
yeah. I mean,
But it's not 400.
No, it's not 400. But it has front and rear lockers. Okay.
Yes.
It has. It's not a disconnectable sway bar? No.
No. They don't do it.
They don't do that.
Do that. I guess they could have, but it still has really good articulation. What's different now for 2023 and 2024 in the Bison? Because remember, the Bison existed before
Yeah,
in the ZR2
which I
Colorado.
recall.
So let's talk about it. It's a partnership with American Expedition Vehicles, and they've basically gone and done all of the armor for it, the bumper, all the stuff that that you would go to Joe's to have
I
done.
think also
AEV does.
unique wheels
Yes.
and
And interior touches.
interior.
Like stitching on the seats.
Powertrain is the same.
But now warranted from the factory, so you're
Yeah, it
getting
is warranted from the factory.
all that AEV stuff.
What about suspension?
So here's the thing. For 2024, they upped their game.
Multimatic.
I would say. Because before the Bison package was basically armor, right? That was its key component.
Correct.
Now it costs $11,700 to get the Bison over a regular ZR2, which is a lot of change.
Yeah, it
but,
is.
But they changed the suspension because it's a little bit higher to accommodate the 35s.
It went
You get the-
multimatic, right?
Yeah,
Just like-
multimatic.
yep.
35s with bump stops, by the way. So hydraulic bump stops are there. I believe front and rear. Of course, all the armor, the bumpers, the winch-capable front bumper, a little bit different styling. And so they kind of upped their game. It's not just an armor package anymore. It's also
Performance.
a lot more performance, suspension-wise.
But how
Yeah.
much does a Bison cost?
11,500.
All in,
Yeah, all in.
you start with 49,000. You add 11,700, so you're at 60. You're basically just over 60,000.
So you're creeping into the Toyota territory that we
with
just
a
talked about.
Trailhunter.
So
yeah,
you kind of cut the difference between the Ranger Raptor and the
exactly,
TRD Pro.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
if you, okay,
61,000
let's say you decide to get the ZR2, right? And
without the Bison.
Right.
Okay.
So how
that's
much-
a crazy value. 49,000.
That's my point. So is it worth it to, okay, granted, you do get upgraded suspension and
bigger tires.
And bigger tires, and you get the armor. But is it worth it? Because you're not getting anything extra from performance in terms of powertrain.
Right.
Right? And it still has front and rear lockers. It's still a super capable truck.
So let's talk about, first of all, I would say that the Bison is probably the best looking truck of the ones we've discussed so far.
I won't fight you on that.
It's a really good looking truck.
I still think that his Trail Boss is really good looking. But
It is.
Here's my problem with that. His Trail Boss and that Bison, if you put them next to each other, your average Joe on the street's going to say, yeah, it's a good looking truck, but they won't know too much of the differences between them. You know what I mean? Even though one is $20,000 more than the other. He's now showing a picture. By the way, you know that people listen to our podcast too, right? So Andre,
he's showing a white GMC Bison with giant 35 blacked out wheels, big tires.
I think it's a little bit more in your face than what Ford is doing in terms of with the Raptor. I think
it's a little bit more, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got a little bit more drama to it because it completely changed the front end, and you can kind of tell. And there's a couple of stickers on it. It just definitely has a lot more presence. Even though the Ford is, in my mind, mechanically a superior truck in terms of performance, this definitely has squeak. They put it in the bed?
The spare tire's in the bed, my friends.
That's no good.
No, it's taking space out of the bed.
Yeah. You can't fit it underneath the bed.
That's foolish. I say boo.
But they did test it, and it can hold while you're racing off-road. But you're losing some bed space.
And you're also probably losing some of your capacity in the bed. Am I correct in terms of
of
payload?
Course. Yeah.
Now, Andre, the interior of this truck is the same as yours. What do you think of your interior? Are you happy with it? You're 6'3". I mean, you're a big guy for a mid-sized truck.
Yeah. So I have a basic truck, right?
Yeah.
So my Trail Boss is based on the work truck, really. So I don't have actually a lot of adjustment on my seat, because it's, first of all, manual adjustment.
It's like four-way.
So the ZR2s have a slightly more adjustment where you can kind of, lift the seat bottom a little bit or readjust some of the other sections. So I'm not a super fan of my interior.
How about room-wise? How would you compare
like
it to
I would say it's Taco.
It's a little tighter,
level.
yeah. Especially the back seat's pretty straight up, unfortunately. How about towing? How much is the...
So this is, I believe, still 6,000 pounds for the ZR2s. So they're kind of in the same range as
the Toyotas,
as
but they are above the Fords.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with suspension and whatnot, too.
But the only one with the 6-cylinder right now is Ford. The rest are all 4-cylinder turbos.
Ford gives you a ton of options if you think about it. All the different
They
types
throw
of
everything
ranges.
in. Yeah, and the Ranger Raptor.
Kitchen sink.
I believe, 3 different powertrains available for the Ranger?
The 2.7 is also in the Ranger. Yes,
Right. So, I mean, there's that's something significant because nobody else is doing
And
that many
let's talk about infotainment. Out of the three, do you like Toyotas better or Ford Sync or Chevys?
How about Jeep?
We'll get there in a second.
Well, I'm just telling you.
She likes Jeep.
I like Jeep. Yeah,
No,
I like Jeep.
their infotainment center, I think, is the best out of the mid-size trucks. But we'll get to that in a minute.
So what GM does, that Ford does not, GM does underbody cameras too.
That is cool.
It's a little bit gimmicky, but at the same time,
it's cool.
You have a cool feature there that's also there.
Hey, Andre,
Yes.
how do you shut off your lights in your truck?
You have to go into the mid screen and you have to push a digital button on my screen to control the lights.
There's a time where you had this thing called a stock or a little switch, and you could actually just shut the damn thing off with the switch or on the stock.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why they have to go to that type of complexity.
Remember when you and I complained in GM trucks, they used to have a knob on the left that was the same size as the
four-wheel
4x4
drive. Yeah,
knob. And we said, why are they the same size? And they got rid of it.
Yeah, apparently it's our fault.
Yeah, it is our fault.
Nice going, Andre.
Are you finding another problem, Andre, that you don't have a light stock or a light button or
not
switch?
Usually.
But there's just
because they're automatic headlamps, right?
Yeah, I know, but there are times when you want to shut it off.
Yes, for example, while towing on the iGauntlet, we usually turn the lights on for visibility so we can see the trailer and everything like that. So it is kind of a pain.
I just don't get it.
Do accessory power, go into the screen. It's kind of a pain.
All right, before we move on to the other truck, there, of course, is the GMC AT4X version of it.
Which in some ways...
even more expensive.
It's more expensive, however, you're getting more kit, and you're getting a nicer interior, slightly nicer. I think that it's fair to say that if you went and got the AT4X, what is it, the AT4X?
AEV edition.
AEV edition, that is the top dog amongst GM's mid-sized trucks. Would you agree?
Absolutely. But I don't quite get the price difference.
Okay.
There's about $7,000 different between a comparable Canyon, GMC Canyon, and the Colorado. If you compare like
Does that move up if you want to move up to the AT4X? Does it just stay at 7, or does it? If you were to spec out the most off-road worthy performance version of the?
So the AT4X Canyon starts at 56.
Yep.
Remember, I just said the ZR2 was 49.
Yeah.
So that's already like 6,000 difference.
How else would you know it's good?
7,000.
That's expensive.
Yeah. How would you know if it was good?
It's the Red Bull mentality.
So people love the GMC brand.
They do, yeah.
I mean, even at the heavy-duty truck level.
That is a better looking interior.
Especially the Denali.
And you definitely have more soft touch points. That I recall.
People complain about the white inlays
Really?
in the Canyon interior because they say your dirty hands are going to be all
Oh,
over
for
it.
crying out loud! It's not like everybody who buys this is like working on an oil derrick.
How much is the top of the line?
You don't want to know.
I do want to know because I think it's going to start with a 7 potentially.
Yeah, I think you're going to be close to the 7s.
Yeah, I think it's going to be up there.
So I've just selected. I'm on the laptop. I went to the AEV edition.
How much?
It says see dealer for details.
Oh, it doesn't even give you the price.
Oh wow!
It's so expensive. Put on a price. Oh my god.
So, but if you look, see dealer for pricing.
Yeah. That's good.
I'm pretty sure that
fills me with confidence.
Roman, if you have to ask,
You can't
maybe
afford
you
it.
Can't
Can't afford it. Yeah, literally, that's how it works.
All right. Well, let's move on to the one we just drove, which is the new Jeep Gladiator. Nathan and I had a chance to go zipping around the Moab Desert in the Mojave version. And first of all, there isn't much new about the new. It's just
It's the interior is the newest part, I think.
they put a bigger screen in.
but it's a better screen, and
It
it's
is
a
better
really
screen.
good system.
They electrified the seats, so now you've got
Yeah,
electric
that's a little bit better,
seats.
too.
And they changed up the grill.
Yeah, so
And the Mojave, of course, is the one that doesn't have the
front locker,
Right.
Yeah, but it is built to be supposedly punished off road
Oh, he's got a price.
at high speed. Oh,
You know,
oh, how close? How close were we?
I went to this site called TFLtruck.com, which is a really good website.
It is.
And we had one of the owners of a GMC Canyon AT4X AEV edition submit his sheet to us. It was $69,035.
It's crazy that we have to have an owner submit a sheet or go to the dealer.
Because the dealer is like, oh no, you know.
But it's not 70.
We don't
No,
want
yeah, you're right. It's not 70.
69.
we don't want people passing out on their computers.
Hyperventilating when they actually see their price is ridiculous. Okay, going back to the Jeep. Though.
Okay, sorry, Jeep.
Okay. Now, first of all, the Jeep Gladiator has gone through some trials in
And
the past
tribulations.
and tribulations in the past few years. Jeep thought it would be a great idea during COVID to increase the price significantly. They went from a starting price with the Sport model, which, by the way, the Sport model gives you four-wheel drive standard, gives you a crew cab standard, one-size bed standard, and you could get a manual transmission with it as well. And they essentially added, I think, 30% or 40% to the price during COVID. Okay, that's what they did. And surprise, surprise, people stopped buying them. And the price and the sales have absolutely been going into the toilet.
Yeah, they're like 20% down or more sometimes.
That's what happens.
I
When
would say the Mojave we drove was 65. Was that right? 64, 65?
that's about right.
Yeah, but it was a Mojave X,
yeah.
the new
So we had
expensive edition.
Yeah, we had
And-
the X package, which had extra.
And we
goodies.
did ask Jeep about this. We said, guys, it's very expensive. And they said, it's the only convertible truck. Where else are you going to buy one?
Yeah, and that was
That is-
was where their stance is. Like it's a convertible.
But
truck.
they're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
No,
They're not
yeah.
wrong.
But is it something
well,
that people are looking? I mean,
Hummer EV has removable panels.
Some.
but that's 110. So
Yes.
Yeah. So if you were to buy the high end versions of it, now by the way, there's no 392 version. They got rid of the diesel. There's
Only the
essentially
Pentastar.
one engine, the Pentastar, which is getting up there in age. It does the job, but it's definitely getting up there in age, right? And a manual transmission or an automatic transmission, which is
nice.
8-speed. Yes, it is nice to have that. The thing is that the two top models right now that exist will be the Rubicon and the Mojave. Am I correct?
Yep.
you just said something really interesting. I think it's the only performance trucks in the mid-size class that you can get with a manual because the Raptor is automatic only. No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
that's right.
Toyota, the highest version of the Toyota
is
TRD
manual,
is
off-road.
still TRD off-road, and so it doesn't have the a hybrid powertrain, so it's not as powerful.
but it's automatic only.
No, you can get the regular TRD.
TRD off-road, you can
Off-road,
get
you
with
can
a
But
manual.
not the
Pro.
yeah.
Not the Pro, right,
not the
exactly.
hybrid, yeah.
So yeah, that one. The bottom line here is that those two top models, if you're looking for serious off-road capability, I'm sorry, Jeep, forget the Mojave. Don't even bother.
Right, go with the Rubicon.
Go with the Rubicon. You'll be so much happier. It does everything that the Mojave does.
And you get
it
the
has a
front
front locker, and in addition, it's less expensive. It is.
Doesn't tow as much, does it, Andre?
Yeah. So
For the sport
by the way, the
tows the
manual
most.
transmissions always tow less.
Yeah.
3,500 pounds is essentially
Yeah,
where
for
they
the
sit,
for the manual.
which is not great, but that's the manual.
The Mojave tows about 6,000 with the automatic.
Right.
So they're kind of similar
That's
to.
not bad.
However, the
almost,
maximum, the Jeep still is near the top with maximum.
If you get the right spec.
If you get the right spec, exactly. But here's the thing.
It's also the longest truck.
It is by far.
But it doesn't have high performance powertrain.
Oh, but there's worse. There's another problem that you hate.
What?
There's something that you can't stand. There's something
No
that
backup
actually.
camera?
No, worse.
No cruise control?
Worse.
It's got all that.
What's the payload on the Mojave?
Oh my God, the payload's bad.
900 pounds.
900 pounds?
On a good day.
That means if Roman puts his hairpiece in the back of that thing, it's going to be overloaded.
They say
God.
my hairpiece weighs 100 pounds, Nathan. I would say my Bernese Mountain Dog weighs 100 pounds.
Okay, you're Bernie's Mountain Dogs. But
That could be a hairpiece, right? When you're out there,
it's a
people
very
notice
large
him
dog
more
you
than
can put
they
on your
notice
head.
me. Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, think of 900 pounds. That's
not good.
less than my Santa Cruz. That's less than anything else that
It is
exists.
an Achilles heel. The truck.
It's less than the Subaru Baja and the Subaru Brat.
Yeah.
It's less. It's less than that. How is that even possible? So
don't know.
it's
We don't know.
for a pickup truck. It's just not right. They need to figure out a way to bring up the payload numbers. So, just had to say that.
And also, it's the longest wheelbase. It's the longest midsize truck, so it's a little bit more difficult to park or maneuver off road.
Which is ironic because, for me at least, the seat doesn't go far enough back. Every time I got in that truck, I reached for the little control.
And you
I try
went
to
backwards?
I try to push it back.
But it doesn't.
It doesn't go any farther
It
back.
needs, even for me, I would say if it had everybody likes an extra inch of space in the car, and I think that is exactly what it needs inside that cab. An extra 1 inch of travel would really help.
But it also has this upright windshield, which also you kind of feel like you're right there in front of it.
That doesn't bother me so much, but you know what's great? The way they put that screen up at a horizontal position, you barely take your eyes off the road to see the screen. All the switch gear is easy. You can just casually glance and you know exactly where your hand is going, and lots and lots of buttons.
Yeah, and then I drove it across the Rubicon Trail, and I would say we haven't done a lot of off-roading in the TRD Pro yet, so we don't know the new one, and neither have we done a ton in the Range Raptor. But man, that thing is capable off-road. It is so capable.
It's a super good off-roader that maybe a foot too long is sort of my way of looking at it.
I agree. Yeah, because
You know
the
what I mean?
length really hurts the
It
brake
really
over.
does. Well, actually,
the belly of it.
The belly,
I spent a
exactly.
lot of time scraping the belly, going over a lot of
Yeah,
rocks on the Rubicon.
but if you have armor under there, who cares, right? Just bounce it all over the place.
Your back hairs.
I still long for one, Roman. I still would love to own one of those.
Is it the convertible feature of it?
It's the convertible feature, it's the manual option, and just being able to get a base, with just what you need.
And the interior is really well executed.
I think they did a fantastic job
yeah.
with it. And it's just the seat, a little bit more would be nice. There's a couple things that they need to do, especially because Jeep is sort of reinventing themselves to a certain degree, and they want, obviously, more sales with the Gladiator, and they want
But
people
it's going
to know.
the wrong way, so...
It's going the wrong
Well,
way.
it's getting old in the tooth.
Well, they need to update it, like seriously update it, and it needs a new power. You know what it needs? It needs the Hurricane.
All right, hold on here. We're really almost an hour into this now.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up with the
Okay.
other trucks in the segment, and then we'll leave the midsize and heavy-duty trucks and electric trucks in the
We
next
have
show.
two more mid-size trucks to quickly cover.
Yes, we
and
have
there's
to.
not much to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hit it.
I wanted to bring up the Nissan Frontier Forsberg edition because you and I saw it, I think, at the auto show.
Yeah.
And it sounded exciting.
Sure.
You and I saw it also in Chicago, I believe. And it's basically an off-road. Forsberg is one of their racing
One of the
drivers.
race guys, yeah.
He's a drifter, he's a racer, he's an off-road racer. So they put together this package for the Frontier, which was about $10,000. It's like $9,999. And I asked the Nissan dealership, when can I buy one? And they didn't know because it's coming later this year. Nissan needs to step up a little bit and give us more on Frontier.
So the Frontier feels like it's always and always will be, unfortunately, the value leader, right? The reason you get a Frontier is because it's going to be the one that's going to be the most affordable. It's going to be the one that's going to be discounted the most, and it's going to be the one that I think is also one of the more reliable. It
doesn't have turbos.
Yes, you guys hit it. I was waiting for that. That's huge. A lot of our viewers will say the same thing. They don't trust turbocharged powertrains
Especially
yet.
4-cylinders, yeah.
Yeah. So look at that one V6 that's available. And there, yes, Honda, yes. But that V6, which is already known as being a pretty reliable powertrain, and yes, it did have a recall in the transmission, but I believe that was a reflash, and that transmission is working okay now. And that's the 9-speed, I believe, right?
Yeah, the 9-speed.
So, but that's the only way it comes too. You from the very base, that's what you get. You get the big V6. You get that 10 or 9-speed.
But here's the issue, right? You're out there and you want choice, and Frontier gives you the basic, like medium, expensive and cheap versions, right?
Yeah.
The way you buy.
And some interesting side models too.
Some interesting side models. Many of them are kind of like very limited appearance packages.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Whereas you walk into the Ford dealership, you got 3 powertrains and about 10 different trim levels.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Tacoma. Same thing with the GM. Right. But with the Frontier, you kind of get, there's a Frontier.
Yeah. And that looks really cool.
That's a concept. Yeah.
So he's just showing
But
the
they keep
concept.
making
That's the P8,
concepts.
though.
But they keep making concepts.
Lots of concepts.
Yes.
That they don't build.
Well, because they just don't have the budget for
Right,
it.
and this is always the problem. It's always like
Nissan is in a weird place right now. They're in the process of canceling the Titan, and I was kind of hoping that there would be more money in the coffers. You know what I mean, for more development of the Frontier. And we're hearing lots of rumors.
Well, there's a prototype running around.
There's a couple prototypes running around actually, including some speculate a possible return to the Xterra, but that's a whole different thing. But the bottom line is this: you're absolutely right. Not any choice when it comes to powertrains. And yeah, you have different cab configurations. Actually, they're the only ones who are doing a king cab. Toyota has something that looks like a king cab but doesn't have seats in the back. Nissan still has that option, and I'll give them credit for that.
And they still have buttons.
They still have
a lot of them.
Yeah, and I mean, their screen is small, and just everything's kind of on the basic side. If you want kind of a good old-fashioned truck,
Yeah, if you're sick of all the infotainment overload that people have now,
Massive screens.
and everything is like you have to turn on your lights in order to get into the screen.
yeah, or to get into the screen.
Vice
turn on your
versa,
lights,
yeah, exactly. Then people want.
I like the Nissan a lot. I think it's got a lot going for it. Unfortunately, there's also not a lot for you guys to select from. That's
And the other issue I have with it is it's like 3 years old now.
Yeah.
2022 model year.
Yeah, and it already feels dated to some extent.
Yeah, the interior really does need some help.
And I think it's because things are changing so quickly, right? There's so much there's so much, especially in the midsize segment right now. There's so much change happening where we're going to see electrification. We're going to see all kinds of new things coming. Tesla just put 4-wheel steering on the Cybertruck. There's all this new technology that's coming, obviously, and the Frontier is not.
It's
there
not,
with any of them.
a brake controller.
Yeah. Doesn't have a brake controller.
Doesn't come with a brake controller.
but I think that you can get one through the Nismo or Nissan or whatever, right?
Well, yeah, it's like after purchase kind of, but it's not like built in.
No, I agree, and
vehicle.
it should be, but not all midsize trucks have that either.
But there's a trend. There's a trend. Like the new Taco has a built-in brake controller if you pay for it. But it comes from the factory. The new Ranger has a brake controller.
This has got to be so cheap. Cheap.
The new Colorado, my Colorado has a brake controller.
Yes, it does.
So-
So I think the bottom line here is that, yes, Nissan is the value leader. I think that they need to maintain that. I think in order, because
works. Step into it.
Yeah, I think they actually
Lean
need to
into
drop it another 1,000, frankly, and really undercut the other guys. Because how much did we pay? And then I'll wrap this up. How much did we pay? How much was the sticker on that special version we had
Hardbody.
on the Nissan Hardbody that competed against all those other trucks? How much was that?
46.
$46,000, but it didn't give you any more components other than basically good looks. Am I correct?
It was super cool looking.
It was great looking.
Yeah, those old school wheels, man. I
Yeah,
love
man,
those.
it was super
still-
cool, but the price is just too much
Look,
for what you're getting.
Here's the other problem, right? We live in a world where it's all TikTok, it's all Instagram, and you have to have something on your vehicle that you can show off and say, hey, look, I've got this cool feature, right? And that's where Tesla has been really successful, right? They've created social media vehicles that can be really promoted by influencers and owners.
They're like
and
fire.
Right, they do all this cool stuff. The Nissan doesn't do anything cool. There's nothing like, like you think of the Rivian, right? It's got even the Tacoma. It's got that speaker that comes out. The Rivian's got that little tunnel. It's also got a speaker that comes out.
Oh, so
you see what I'm saying? There's just nothing there.
Gimmicks.
That you're
You need more gimmicks.
something that
Nissan, give us some more gimmicks, please. Now we do know for a fact they've announced.
Gimmicks.
For a fact, they announced, this is a news item, that they are working with Mitsubishi to build a PHEV pickup truck. They are talking about that. If they could be first to the game, I think that'd be huge, and I have a feeling it's going to be a mid-sized truck. So we'll see.
I mean, hybrids are now the go-to vehicle, right? The
and
world is gone.
as we mentioned and predicted, and Toyota really wasn't in the forefront of that, and I think that's the direction. Perhaps Nissan needs to look at that and figure out a way of making their truck more competitive that way. Anyway, we have one more truck that is currently in production, and that's the Honda Ridgeline.
Yeah, and they're trying to make it more off-road worthy with their Trail Sport version, right? So they gave it more aggressive tires. They gave it more aggressive stickers.
Well, I'm glad they beefed up the tires. Did they beef up the suspension too?
Not much. It's the same ride height as before.
Yeah.
You know what they should do, and maybe they will do this next year, is the Pilot Trail Sport. It's got a little bit higher suspension. It's got that massive skid plate underneath.
Yeah.
They need to do that, but do it on the Ridgeline.
I agree 100%.
Maybe they should be where they're at, right? Basically, the Ridgeline is a truck for people who don't want a truck. You see what I'm saying? If you want,
I would have gladly owned one. I tried to at one point.
It's expensive.
You recall. Yeah, it was a little out of my price range. The most important part about the Ridgeline, and I think we all agree, is that for a daily driver, it is the most comfortable midsize truck for humans.
And it's got. Remember, I was talking about like social media stuff. It's got that cool tailgate that both swings down and swings out.
Trunk
it's
thing.
got the in-bed trunk.
Yeah,
right?
And it's comfortable.
It is extremely
It's got
utilitarian.
the magic seats. We could throw a bike in the back.
Honestly, the biggest issue with that is the fact that it's just not built for off-roading. And it can't tow heavy loads. But you know what? It tows 5,000 pounds. It has really good payload. It has a good-sized bed that's easy to reach into.
Yeah.
It is extremely utilitarian, and it can be driven every day just like you would a Honda Pilot. No problem.
Yeah.
So all those are benefits. The tractors, it's getting a little bit boring inside.
It's a little boring. Actually, the off-road modes are better than you'd think. I actually took it off-road, and it does. The last time we tested it, the transmission did overheat again.
Yeah.
We had that issue because it
you
was
were
trying to
driving.
figure out where to, break this wheel, break that wheel, break this wheel. Traction's over here.
It's much better now.
It's much better now.
It's the IBTM4 system.
Yeah.
And it is one of the best all-wheel drive systems out there. I still say. I think you agree with me too, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's
probably-
it's not an off-roader.
Yeah, it's probably one of the more sensible, I hate to use that word, but it's true, off-road, on-road packages for most people, for most needs, right? People
Agreed.
buy trucks for what they think they need.
But this
Honda built a
gives you
truck for
you-
what you need.
Yeah, I agreed. And the sales of it have been very strong. They've actually gone up, not down, even during the worst times of the pandemic and all that. They managed to really maintain it. I think they need to update it seriously very
I think
soon.
they need to triple turbocharge it.
Triple, not two turbos.
Not
triple.
three.
I'm going to say, I'm very curious how the third turbocharger will work on a vehicle like that.
Well, make it electric, so you've got two.
Well, actually, that's the big thing. Everything else that Honda builds at this point has the option in the future to possibly become a hybrid of some sort. And hybrid technology is quite good for Honda. So why isn't it on something like that? That's a big question.
So two more things
Yes.
before we wrap up.
What you got there, Andre?
First of
Kia.
all, I want to show you another pickup truck.
Okay.
And also we need to pick our favorite very fast
Okay.
out
Okay.
of what we discussed.
Hit it.
So a lot of people are asking us about the Kia Tasman. Is that how you say it?
Tasman is good.
Tasman?
It's like Tasmania.
Okay.
Yeah.
Body on frame, pretty cool.
Body on frame pickup truck that they kind of teased. This is Drive Australia. So this is not our image that I'm showing. So thank you, Drive Australia.
Yeah, but if you go to tfltruck.com, you're going to see plenty of images of it disguised.
I would
So-
love for Hyundai and Kia Group to actually bring over a real
Hell yeah.
body-on truck. Not
think
that
they
the
could
Santa
do it.
Cruz isn't real, but it's a lifestyle truck.
The only way they can do this and make it work is that they'd have to have a factory that would build it here.
In North America.
Or the chicken tax will kill it otherwise.
Yes. So it's not, as of now, it's not coming here.
Yeah, but they basically said never say never.
So here's the thing, right? We just had Chattanooga become unionized. I'm talking about the VW plant.
Yep.
Yes.
And a lot of the factories in America are built in right-to-work states, which is in the South. So a lot of them aren't unionized. And is this the start of a trend? I think it is. I think you're going to see a lot more.
Oh, unionization?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
I think you're going to see a lot more like cards falling to the union, and that's going to mean that you're going to have to change what you build at that factory, because now you're going to have to start building higher margin vehicles at the factory,
Which would be something like
which
this.
would be something like
Yeah,
this.
I agree.
So maybe there is, a future for this.
But it
in
would still be a
America.
couple years out.
Yes,
at this
of course.
point.
Yeah.
If
You got to
it were,
retool. You got to do other things.
Yeah.
So
There goes Tommy and the boys.
so as we end,
our team is
Our
leaving
team's
us.
leaving.
so Tommy managed to get everybody out of the building all at once without pulling the fire alarm. He's good at what he does.
He's doing a Subaru
Brad?
video where him and Case are going to ride in the back of that thing.
That is going to be something.
I hope they have a
That's something,
GoPro trained on their faces as their perfect hair gets pushed in the wind.
Yes.
Yes, I said perfect hair, Tommy.
Bye, Tommy.
Bye.
Be safe out there. All right.
So our faves.
Yeah.
Okay, head it.
Who do you want to start?
Oh, I'll say the task. No, I'm kidding. Okay. I've been mulling this over in my head because I'm the cheap guy, right? So I would always consider the
Right.
cheapest
Yeah,
one.
the bargain.
Right? It's a toss-up right now between two vehicles, both of which have mid-level off-road capability, manual transmissions, but one of them is a convertible. So yeah,
Go convertible.
Yeah, so it'd be the Toyota Tacoma with the off-road package, not the TRD Pro, obviously, and also the Jeep Wrangler, the Willys version of it, manual transmission.
Right, but we're talking about performance trucks, so you got to.
I know,
You
but it's
you can't cheap out on the cheap ones.
All right.
gotta go
So that would be the Ford Raptor.
All right, fair.
Oh, you took my Raptor.
I didn't take it. I went first.
I after driving all of them, or most of them, everything that we talked about, and recently had the midsize comparison. That was
Yeah.
huge. We had all the trucks here.
That was a hell of a
which was really, really
It's a heavy
awesome.
lift.
I'm in the Ford Raptor camp, Ranger Raptor.
For a Ranger Raptor, yeah.
Ranger Raptor specifically because it's a little bit more affordable
Yep.
than some others.
Exactly.
It's got good power.
Yes.
Yes,
Killer
it's-
suspension.
Yeah, killer suspension. The only thing that's preventing me from, running outside and buying one this minute,
Is your wife.
but also,
Yes, that too.
I'm married too, man. I get it.
but also a little bit more towing. If it
Yeah.
had just a couple,
5,500, right?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
it had another 500 pounds. Or
Because
a
you
little
can't
bit
tow your
more-
boat with 5,500.
Yeah, I know. So,
Yeah, that's
but I really like that truck.
Yeah, I agree.
But you bought the Colorado.
But the tall.
But I didn't buy the
more.
ZR2.
Right,
I didn't
ZR2.
buy the ZR2.
His tows quite well, actually. What about you?
I fell in love with that Trailhunter. I just thought it was really cool. The TRD Pro is fine, but it just, it's got the seat, which kills your back seat room. It's got the fake hood scoop, which I have a hard time with.
Yeah, I agree.
But the Trailhunter has everything kind of I need. It's got the compressor. It's got that badass snorkel.
got a
It
lot
sounds
of cool
like
features.
I'd like to drive it before I make a
Yeah,
decision
fair.
on that one, to be honest with you, because it is pretty amazing. But
But it's hard to justify when the Ranger Raptor basically gets you more stuff
it trounces it performance-wise,
and
too.
it costs a lot less.
Yeah.
Well, we still need to drag race them. So
We
we
will
haven't
indeed.
drag raced them yet. So
Yes.
to be continued.
So
To be
maybe
continued.
what we'll do in the future is a super truck comparison with mid-size trucks, like the top of all of those.
Which
Right.
actually could be doable at the end of May. We can actually do this.
You heard it here from the Meister of the truck.
Yes, we can do it.
All right, well, I think we're going to wrap this up for
to-
today.
yeah, to be continued.
And then we'll come back and talk about full-size trucks and, of course, electric trucks.
Yep. All right. And heavy duty trucks.
And those too, yes.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.